Hey, Brian here with worshiptutorials.com. In this video, we're going to learn how to play the song Glorious Day on electric guitar. A few things about this tutorial before we jump right in. We're going to talk about the Passion Live version of this song. It's in the key of D. It's 110 BPM. That'll be important for delay times and everything like that. And I'm going to approach this sort of like if you've got one guitar player on your team. I'm going to talk about the different sections of the song, how you can play it. Also, if you've got two guitar players, I'll talk about what to do from sort of a rhythm and a lead perspective. So I've got a Duesenberg Starplayer TV here. You certainly don't need a guitar like this. You can use most any guitar that you have. I'm going to be playing through our Glorious Day Helix patch, which is available. If you have a Helix, there's a link below. But I'm going to talk about the effects that you'll need regardless of what kind of gear you have. So, you know, you're basically going to need, for this song, you're going to need an amp, obviously. I'm using a Vox AC30 amp model in this. It's either that or the Matchless. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but either way, they're like a Vox AC style amp. Some overdrive, some delay, and some reverb and compression. That's all you're going to need for this. So if you've got those pedals, you're good to go. What I'm going to do is break down each part section by section. The first time you really ever hear the electric guitar come in, it's in the verse, when I met you. And it's like a backward strum. Sounds like this. So to get that sound, you want a lot of verb. You want it a pretty overdriven sound, so you can either set your amp to be, you know, overdriven or put a overdrive in front of it, and then quarter note delay, and that's it. And you get this tone. And you can really use that for all of the first verse. So if you think about how it goes, when I met you. Okay, so let's talk about how that works together. So the first When I Met You is just a backward strum on an open D chord. I always leave the high E open, so it's like that. It then comes in with these kind of swells on these single notes, and here's how you know where to play those. The minor pentatonic scale for the key of B or D is B minor. That B minor is on the 7th fret. It's right here. Okay, that's your minor pentatonic. So you're starting, if you think about it, all these notes on the 7th fret, you can play them in the key of D and they're all going to sound okay. And that part that swells in, it's the 7th fret on the B string. And then you just walk up the scale. So, and then instead of going up to the high E string 7th fret, you just go on the 12th fret of the B string, back to 10, back to 7, back to 5. And it just goes like that. So it just kind of walks up and down that scale, and it sounds like this with all the effects on. That was a swell in on a G chord. Okay, so when you get to the chorus hook, it's by far, this is the hardest part of the song. It's kind of fast, but you can break it down and make it a little bit easier. It just takes some practice, that's all. The effects on this, it's just a little bit more drive, a lot less reverb. I actually think on the album, there might not be any reverb on this part, but I like to leave a little bit in. And you want a pretty prominent 8th note delay, so it sounds like this. Okay, so that's what the effects are like. Now, to play the part, it's in the key of D. The easiest way to remember this is you're in the key of D, so you're using D shapes all over the neck. And for this one, you're actually playing a D. If you know your guitar, you know everything at the 12th fret starts over. So when you go to the 12th fret, you're basically playing this D an octave up. So you're on the 15th and, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th frets. So to play the riff, it goes like this. I'm going to zoom in on my fingers. Okay, so it starts on the B string on the 15th fret with your middle finger, and then it goes to the 14th fret. You just pull off on it. And then you go to the G string on the 16th fret with your ring finger. And then you go down to the D string 14th fret, and you kind of do these little hammer-ons with your ring finger to the 16th fret. And then on the way back up, you go back to the B string. Okay, so I'll play that really slow and I'll count it off, and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the other thing about it is how you pick it. You really want to do pull-offs to get the notes on the way down. I kind of syncopated it. You don't want to do that, but it sounds like this when you do it at speed. 2, 3, 4. And then to play the other part, so and then it goes to a, if you know the song, G. And you want to play your G up here. So if you play a D shape on the 7th and 8th frets, that's a G. And all you really want to do, you can kind of wrap your thumb around and mute the low E, A, and D strings. You can kind of mute the D string with the flesh of this finger. You really just want just these two notes, the G and the B string. But if you hit the E string, sounds fine as well. And then you go back up. Okay, so really you kind of use your middle finger as an anchor because it's the same shape. It's a D shape up here. You're going from a D to a G. And then you come to a second sort of riff, and you're on this G. Just move everything up 2 frets. So now you're on the 9th fret and the 10th fret and the 11th fret. On the G string, you hammer on from the 9th to the 11th. And then you play the B string on the 10th fret where your middle finger should be, because you're making a D shape. That's it. Then you go back to this G shape. And then back up to this riff for the turnaround, and you can just play it again. And then you're back into either the verse or the turnaround or the bridge. So this is how it sounds with the effects on it. Okay, so when you get to the second verse, you really are just playing these open chords again. You just want to kind of strum on the first beat of each measure, and then you can kind of arpeggiate the chords if you'd like. It would kind of sound a little bit like this. Okay, you get the idea. Nothing too fancy or difficult to do in that section. Then after the second verse, you're back to the chorus. You do the same kind of riff again during the chorus. If you're a second guitar player, what you could do is just play open chords underneath that. And I ran out of that grip. You know, some basic rhythm stuff. You could play, more like power chord kind of stuff too. So really anything just to fill the space underneath All right, and the second time through the chorus, at the end of the chorus, there's a turnaround section. It's almost like a little solo section. You can only do one of two things. You can just keep playing the riff that's in the song. You notice I didn't go back to the G, so you could do that. Or you could play, they do another thing, and it's really based on the same shape. You're on this D shape again, except this time you're going to hammer on from the 15th fret to the 17th fret on the B string. And then that high note is just a hammer on onto the 15th fret on the, basically the top of the D chord. It's the same as if you play it here. You're just playing it up here. Okay, and it sounds like this with everything engaged. Alright, so you can do that at the turnaround section as well. And then when you get to sort of the solo in between section before the bridge, you have sort of a rhythm part, and it's a very syncopated delay thing. So really all it is more of the same kind of a drive sound, maybe a little less overdrive for this section, but you still need a little crunch on it, and a dotted eighth note delay and quarter note delay at the same time in parallel if you can. So you don't want them to feed into each other. You want it to be kind of rhythmic, and you don't really even want any reverb on at this part too, and it sounds like this. And if you have the ability to go in stereo, even better. You can put one delay on one side, one on the other, and it really widens the whole thing out. And all you're doing is just playing a D, and I'm just playing the D power chord. So if you don't know this, it's just a bar chord of a D. You're really just playing on the 5th fret on the A string, the 7th fret on the D, the 7th on the G. That's it. And then with the delays, it sounds like this. If you want to, you can palm mute it and kind of make it a more syncopated sound. You really can just play that part through the first whole half of the bridge. My sin was heavy. Where it changes is I have a future, and there it changes to a B. It's actually a B minor, but you can play this B power chord right here. So you're on the 7th and 9th fret of the E, A, and D strings. Then you go down to an A, to a G. I ran out of that grave. You back up to the riff part. Here's how it sounds with all of the stuff turned on. Okay, then we'll change to where the chord changes come in. Okay, that's how that part goes. Now, at the end of the song, there is one thing you'll have to watch out for, and that is the timing after the chorus before it goes into the outro. Of course, you're playing exactly the same parts, but you wait an extra measure. And if you watch the playthrough video, you'll see it, but it goes like this. You're playing the thing, you're playing the riff. You play the second half. And I ran out of that grave. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just have to make sure that you all do the same thing at the same time. There's an extra measure of, it's a drum break, basically what happens in there, drum fill, and then it goes right back into it. You play the thing, you play the riff, you play the thing on the thing, you play the riff, and then you end it with a big open D chord. If you want, you can kick on your reverb there and it will just sound bigger. And a little tremolo action if you've got one on your guitar. It never hurts for a big, huge, trash can ending like that. But that is it. How to play Glorious Day on electric guitar. Again, if you have a Helix and you want to use this patch that I'm using, get exactly the same sounds that you heard in this video or the playthrough video, all of that stuff is linked below. Head over to worshiptutorials.com. You can get that there. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.